And we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Shay Ali here with you on Inspired Online. I know the frequency's gone down a little bit, and it's because not everyone is on lockdown anymore. But what we're doing is we're bringing you some incredible people for the days that I am going live here on Inspired, and today is no exception. So we've got the beautiful Christina A Caeliss here with us today. Now, Christina has been with us at Inspired Stage in London a few times. She's been a personal friend of mine for, can you believe it, probably like 10 years now.
Almost 10 years. We're about to have an anniversary.
I know, it's just crazy. It's how time flies. We met obviously when we were like 15.
Obviously. Now we're 29.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm celebrating my 30th next year.
Yeah, the math doesn't add up, but that's okay.
Maths doesn't matter, right? Exactly. So if you haven't met this beautiful lady before, let me tell you a little bit about what she does. So we met in a very unusual way. I was working style and she was wanting to come across like Aphrodite, because this is a lady that really does have the energy of Aphrodite. So all things love, this is who to go to. She also works with a mind-body-spirit connection and does hypnotherapy in that process, and identifies also as a rebel witch. So if you want someone with like a little bit of special skill, this is the lady to go to. Now we've done a few things together beyond style. I usually say to people, and I'll say this personally in terms of her cord cutting skills, if you've heard of what that is, you know, and the best example is if you're tied up over an ex or a situation or something like that, do you want to feel instantly better? And now I don't even pretend to understand how the science behind that works, but the first time this lady did that was like, wow. You know, so really gifted, really skilled. Honored to call her a friend. Welcome, Christina.
Wow. Thank you so much. Honored to be here too. And lovely to see you as well.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been quite a while.
Yeah.
And you're just bringing back all these great memories we've made over the years and all the work we've done. And it's making me feel really good. Thank you for that beautiful welcome. Yeah. I just love you.
Absolutely. Now, you know, we've been deprived in London because you used to live in London. But now is over in Ireland, and you know, very, very beautiful part of the world as well. But well, let's start with the inspired question, which is, if you had to share your wisdom with the world in a nutshell, what would you say?
That I need a peanut field.
You need a peanut field.
Not because I have that much wisdom, but there's just so much I want to share. It's not necessarily like an excess of wisdom, though. You know, you do get to a point in life, you know, 29, where you pick up a few things along the way. But I think what I'd like to share today, what I'd like to talk about today, is the mind, body, spirit field, this industry. And I am a mind, body, soul hypnotherapist. Spirit and soul, I use them interchangeably. And you know, I work with energy. You mentioned the cord cuttings. So you know I work with that, but I am also a therapist. And I am somebody that's really interested in the physical side of things, our bodies, how they work, but more importantly, when things go wrong, how to course correct them. And I do feel that in this industry, we are overemphasizing and focusing too much on the energy work and looking to the energy work for all the solutions, and neglecting the mind, which is mental health. It's not just changing your thinking, it's not just reframing, it truly is mental health. And then body. I mean, who doesn't love a good Reiki session? You know,
Reiki is amazing. It's like one of the cheapest forms. I don't mean to diss Reiki, but You can get a session for about £30 out there, and it's phenomenal. But
it is. It's relaxing, and if you have the right person doing it, it feels fantastic. But that's not all. It's not that kind of work, just energy work on the body that we need. We need the health component as well. So if you think of yoga, that takes it a step further, right? Because we're actually physically moving and we're grounding ourselves and so forth. But we need even more than that. I think an example, okay, I'll give you 2 examples. One is the cord cuttings, right? And we've done a bit of work in that, so you know exactly how it works.
Yeah. That's
If you remember when we did that, we did go into the therapy side first. You know,
that's true. I mean, you needed to know what was going on for me, but in order to, well, even know who to cut the cords with, right?
Yeah. And I do put that into, it feels like almost like an enchanted conversation is my aim, to make it feel like an enchanted conversation, and so it doesn't feel like what my son calls being therapized. You know? Sometimes I'll try to understand something he's done wrong. You know, he's 27 now, so we don't do that much. Yeah, just a few days ago. But when he was younger, he'd say, "Mom, you're therapizing me, please don't." Oh, so unless somebody specifically asks for it, I wrap it up in that container of an enchanted conversation. If you recall, we were really going into some intricacies there, and then doing some physical things to release first. And you are one of the most vibrant, life force-filled people I know. So on the physical side, you didn't need really anything with that, but the therapy side, the mental health side, is very important. That's part of the cord cutting.
Yeah, I would say, well, I'm happy to share this piece. You know, that about 10 years ago, when we first did this, there was a relationship way in the past that now way in the past.
Even wayer in the past.
Wayer in the past. But you know, that really bothered me. It was like at the time the one who got away, and you know, it had been years actually since we'd split up, and you know, it was still, that wound was quite deep, and so you know, the effect of doing the cord cutting or energy work like that was it was quite profound, because you know, you wake up suddenly and you think, I'm having a day where this isn't bothering me anymore. And you know, that's quite incredible. And you know, I think, you know, what you say about the body and the mind as well is important, you know, because my mind is certainly very active. I wrote the Grown-Up Guide to Kiss Chase on the back of that, which is a book about dating that I don't even really talk about anymore, but it's available out there if you want it. And you know, body wise, I've always been like quite a gym goer and stuff like that, so I was actually, you know, taking care of those pieces, and it wasn't that you know, I wasn't doing the things that you're kind of supposed to do. But sometimes, you know, I think the soul work is brilliant in the sense that it gives you that little extra bit of help, but as you were saying, it can't be the only piece.
Exactly. And there was something, are you okay if I share very delicately and selectively part of
about that? Yeah, go on.
About that process that we went through? Remember our walk through that national park in Ireland?
Oh yeah,
by the river.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, so nature, we just brought nature in for the physical support. But what really struck me on that walk was that we were going through your history a bit more, and there was so much anger that had not been expressed up to that point. And not misplaced anger, like proper righteous anger there,
Yeah, like I'm a person that doesn't get angry, actually. So
yeah.
what you were doing is really, really digging into that to see, you know,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And it took a lot of courage for you to go there.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you're not a person that gets angry and, you know, steam coming out of your ears.
I don't like it. It doesn't feel
No. No.
good.
But if it's there
Mm.
and it's in the body, you know, the body keeps score. And some of these things, especially in relationships, whether it's with family or with partners, very traumatic things happen during them. So we have the anger, which is a response, a survival instinct. And then we have the trauma as well in there. And what happens in our industry is that has been very repressed.
Yeah, sometimes you're invited actually not to go there, or, you know. Well, let me ask you this actually. Do you think it's possible to let it go without going into the depths of what the thing was?
Honestly, I used to think so. You know how much I studied the laws of attraction and applied them.
Yeah.
Right? Until I hit certain places to do with health where it just didn't fly. It just didn't fly, and it wasn't that I wasn't doing it right. So like I said, I used to think so, but now no. I think it needs to be expressed. Now, it doesn't need to necessarily be talk therapy, even though I find that very useful for myself and the people that work with me. There are other techniques that can help with that, can help release trauma from the body. So, and it does work. EMDR is great, but usually after therapy.
Okay.
I would, to give you a short answer, I think somehow it just has to be lanced in a way, even though that sounds harsh. It doesn't have to be like that abrupt an approach.
Okay.
But we need to do something. Yeah.
All right. And let's talk about, you mentioned the going out in nature, and we certainly did that together as well. What benefit does nature have, and why is it important that we give ourselves that gift?
Wow. Okay. So nature, I mean, we share most of our DNA with whatever's out in nature. There isn't that much of a difference in our DNA between us and trees and flowers and plants, so it's like family. Just from the purely physical side, cleaner air, more oxygen. More oxygen moves through our bodies. Our brains work better, which means our endocrine system works better, which means our hormones, our happy hormones are working better, to really, really keep it simple. So, on a purely physical, we get cleaner air, number one. Number two, we don't have the distraction, and both physical distraction and mental distraction, mental clutter of our electronic devices. Yeah. So unless you take your phone out there, and we all do that, but sometimes, but we try not to. So we get away from the clutter, and then we can think more clearly. And finally, it lets out, going back to Aphrodite, it triggers our memories of being kids and being outside, and having that freedom and that lack of self-consciousness and just playing. So it triggers all those happy things, and you get into that playful state more easily. Yeah. Yeah, among other things, but yeah.
And I guess, if you're not getting out in nature right now, so unusually this year, we've all been on lockdown, and, everyone's aware of that. So, and some people are getting out and getting that. There's some people that are not. So what can you, what can be the damaging effects of that if you're not doing that?
Well, firstly, again, let's start with the mind. Let's go through the MBS cycle of this.
Yeah.
From a mind, you don't get a break from that clutter, especially when you're inside, you're not going anywhere. There's no break from it. And people have their TVs, their Wi-Fi, their phones. I mean, all those put out a certain frequency.
Yeah.
That does interact with our bodies, which is the physical part. And indoor air is very dirty. So that's another thing. And we're all afraid to breathe practically because of COVID and wearing masks and when going out. I mean, don't laugh, but there have been times when I've been out in the shop and somebody gets a bit too close and I hold my breath. Because I just...
You find that you don't want to touch anyone,
Yeah, I don't want to breathe their air. So from the mental part, it's just the clutter and lack of change, lack of stimulation. Physical side, dirty indoor air and all the electronic devices. And from the soul part, I mean, the soul wants to be free. It needs to be free. The soul is at home in nature. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, when we started this half hour, we talked about, people are not putting enough emphasis on the body and the mind, and they're rushing to like soul solutions, or some people. What do you think the balance should be if you have an imbalance in your life? How, in terms of percentages, should it be like, a third each, or what do you think the correct thing to do is?
That's a great question. The percentage changes according to your needs at that time.
Okay.
It depends on what you need. If you want, I can take you quickly through a cycle of a client coming to me for anxiety.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah. So a lot of times people come to me first for an intuitive reading. And that's the entry point. That's where they feel comfortable, because they may not feel ready for therapy, or what I've heard a lot is that they've tried therapy and they didn't feel understood, or they felt judged, or it didn't work. So say if somebody comes to me for anxiety, the first thing I am going to do with them is go through the physical side. What are your cortisol levels? Are they high? Are your adrenals depleted? What's going on in your body? Could it be, are you going through perimenopause or menopause? Could it be a purely physical issue?
And could this be something that you can determine for yourself at home?
Well, there are a lot of tests that you can do at home. Of course, it's always best, and we always must say that talk to your doctor and
Of course.
get professional medical advice and so forth. I'll tell you what I do is I get cortisol tests for myself. I order them online and then I send them off to a lab and do that. And I work with my GP. But just because I study this all the time, and she has so many other things that she needs to keep her focus on. Sometimes I tell her, I really like this. Can we test this, please? And she's fab, and she does that. So first we look at the physical side, the physical environment. Are you sleeping next to your Wi-Fi router? Is your phone under your pillow even? Do you have 5 different wall colors in your room? And go through that, eliminate physical causes. Then we'll go to the mental side of it, the anxiety, what situations, what are your triggers, and so forth. And then what I bring in, and which we haven't talked about yet, which is the part that everybody loves about MBS, is the sacred ritual.
Nice. Yeah.
We'll go into sacred ritual, we'll bring all of it together. And the sacred ritual, I mean, there's energy work, of course, and from the mental side, what it brings in is the commitment from the person, from the client.
Okay.
Yeah, to a new way.
And what sort of things do you do in sacred ritual? Is that things like the cord cutting process, or?
Yeah, the cord cutting is a very sacred, very specific, very delicate work, and it's multi-phased, as you know. Another thing that I've worked in quite a bit is with women who have lost a baby through a miscarriage or termination. And that's a very painful wound.
Yeah, of course. Wow.
Yeah. So we do some work with that. That's a very sacred ritual, and it helps to release it from the body as well. Calling in a soulmate is always fun.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, that's it. Remember the fire.
Yeah.
Do you remember Shay and I have done that before? And we've done a ritual like that. Every so often we would do that. And then one time it was so potent that everything that all our tools just caught on fire.
Don't try this at home.
Sorry?
Don't try this at home.
No, don't try this at home. No. But it was, and we were including friends as well. And then without them physically being there, things metaphorically took off, like lit up in their lives, if you recall.
Yeah, I do actually. That was really cool.
Yeah.
It's a real, jokes aside, the whole fire thing is, it's a real kind of letting go as well. So I've done that, with you and since, when there's things that you need to let go of, write it out and set it on fire, in a safe place. Like, don't set fire to your house, but
or your ex's house, yeah.
No.
Or to your ex. No.
Before, I don't do criminal law, so don't come calling me if you've done that.
Yeah, people, I've already asked everyone. I'm only joking.
But yeah, it's actually so healing to like write something out and then go, do you know what? I've had enough of this now. Let's release it. Let's set it on fire.
Yeah, it's one of the simplest spells you can do.
Yeah. I've never really seen it as a spell, but I suppose it is, isn't it? So
very much, yeah. And just a little tip for anybody that wants to do something like this: if you want to really release something and disintegrate it from your life, use water.
Oh wow, okay.
Put it in water. Remember, we did that once. We did water together.
I think so.
Yeah. Use water. If you want to take something and transform it, for example, say in your relationship, you keep arguing. Your communications have become toxic, non-productive, and there's a lot of arguing, and you want to transform that. Then use fire. Fire is for transformation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So water is to release and fire is for transformation.
Yeah, which can be a release as well, but it's about transforming.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, let's talk about the other elements then. And what would you use earth and air for?
Well, earth, I use for healing. I use for giving thanks, for gratitude.
Yeah.
You have visited me in Donegal before. So you've seen my places, like way out, and misty days and mountains and misty mountains. And sometimes I'm out there and I'm so overcome with such an appreciation for life, for what I have, for my son, for my friends. And I'm just overcome with it. So if I have a crystal in my pocket or something, I'll bury it in the earth as a thank you.
Oh.
Healing. I do use earth. You can do certain things. I don't want to start getting into specifics because having a little bit of knowledge can be not a good thing.
Oh, I understand. Same with law. When people come to me for law and they're like, oh, I read this on Google, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I can fight my own case. So yeah, earth for healing, and air is great for communication. And I will tell you, we just talked about doing a little spell with fire. So I can tell you a little spell with air.
Okay.
As well. Very, very simple. It's like a spell on a breeze. So make sure there is a bit of a wind current, and you want somebody to hear something, but you can't tell them any other way, or you don't want to tell them on the phone and directly. So you just whisper it. Put your hands in front of you. Whisper it. you know, hello, I love you. And then offer it to the breeze.
Wow.
At minimum, it makes you feel better.
Yeah.
At maximum, they hear you.
Yeah. Well, what does it do to the other person? I was going to ask you that. You know, if you try something.
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime you do energy work, you always make sure that there is some sort of permission from the other person. Yeah. But to say hello is not violating anyone's boundaries.
Mm.
Even to say I love you is not violating anyone's boundaries, because it's just like saying it, you know, in front of them. You can say hello to somebody, they don't have to say hello back. If you keep saying hello, 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 why aren't you answering me? That's different.
Yeah.
But just a little, you know, hello, I love you. You know, they can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And then the other person, depending on how receptive they are, they might hear it almost like, oh, I think, you know, I think she loves me. You know,
Yeah.
I think I need to say hello. Or if they're not very receptive, they might just get like a little, ooh, that was nice. Just a little nice tingle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating being able to, do that. I've not done that exact one before, but I've had, you know, definitely at least one client who was quite open-minded, I suppose, legal thing, and I said, talk to him in the energetic, you know. So, you know, imagine it's the highest and best version of you talking to the highest and best version of them, and say what you need to say. But, you know, because it's the highest and best version of you that you've invited in, you say it hopefully from a place of love. And, you know, that situation, gosh, you can just see it transform, you know.
The situation or she herself?
The
Or both?
situation, actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
In particular, I'm not going to give too many details for privacy reasons, but the person that was being communicated with actually came the next day and apologized.
Oh, that's huge.
Mm. So, I mean, you know, don't underestimate this stuff, because it can have amazing impact.
It can.
Yeah,
It can. And that's why we need all three.
yeah,
Because when you have your mental health, when you're mentally strong and you're physically taking care of yourself, which is self-love, then you're stronger when you do that work.
yeah.
You're more in your, you're standing in your authority more. It's more effective.
Mm. Well, let's talk a little bit about body, because you know, I know some people that advocate certain diets and stuff to increase your intuition and things like that. You know, for those that know me, they'll know I'm not vegan. You know, I don't live on, well, you know, I don't live on green drinks or anything all the time. I'm relatively okay. And I'm much healthier in lockdown than I have been out of it. So,
Wow.
um,
You're an exception.
huh?
You're an exception.
Maybe, yes. I think
Yeah.
there's a couple of people I know that have lost some weight, but not many.
No.
So yeah, I was going to say, is diet, from your perspective, a important factor in opening up intuition?
Well, you know me, Shay. You know that I try and experiment with everything.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, yeah. I think for some people, yes.
Hmm.
Some people just feel more intuitively open when they are vegetarian.
Yeah,
I straight up will say that I am not a vegetarian.
yeah.
It doesn't impact my intuition at all.
Hmm.
If anything, if I'm malnourished, I don't do as well.
Yeah,
You know? And I have given vegetarianism a fair go. I mean, a really fair shake, and it did not agree with me.
hmm.
I did it right. So I would say it depends on the person, but more importantly is that we're healthy.
Hmm.
And another danger in this industry is that we are experimenters.
Mm.
And sometimes the things we try, it sounds really good, but it can cause us damage.
Mm.
For example, chlorella.
Oh, okay. What is chlorella? Can't even say it.
Chlorella. Chlorella.
I'm
It's a
thinking
type of Dalmatian.
101 Dalmatian. Being silly now.
Chlorella. We've got to be silly sometimes. Chlorella is an algae that has been used for a long time to move heavy metals.
Okay.
And people take it because they think they will detox heavy metals.
Mm.
But what chlorella actually is a monothiol, which means if you think of it as a chelator is what you need to pull out heavy metals because they just won't come out usually on their own. Well, not mercury anyways.
Mm.
And because chlorella doesn't have, let's just say, the necessary bits, what it does is it moves mercury around in your body and causes more damage.
Ooh. Okay.
And I've caused myself quite a bit of damage with that.
And what is that? Is it a supplement? Is it something found in food?
It's a supplement, really.
Okay.
That's where people find it. I mean, there's stuff in foods that can maybe very lightly affect mercury, because that's a big one. So many people have amalgam fillings, and the havoc it wreaks on our bodies cannot be underestimated. And I've come to this late, unfortunately, so I'm still in process of removing it. But I've been to the dentist removing a mercury filling and telling me to swallow the bits because yeah. So that's an example. So when we try things like that, and cilantro is another one. Cilantro is not something to take if you have amalgams. It has caused me so much damage, more than chlorella, and I still haven't recovered from it. So we have to make decisions based on science, as well as, oh, my belly is telling me to take this supplement. My gut is telling me to do this one. Use that intuition to choose maybe a brand,
Right.
but incorporate the science so you know what to do with your body and not damage it more.
Yeah. It's really important, actually. Yeah.
It is, especially, like I said, in this industry, because there's a lot, super greens are such a nice idea, but they can, again, if you have certain elements in your body, they can be very damaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did.
So
I was going to say I did a full food test, as it were. What foods are you allergic to, and what are you not allergic to? So, I mean, I'll say this: the one reason I'm not vegan, I don't want to be vegan anyway. So please, I love people that are vegan. I think you have amazing food, and I will eat it. I just don't want to live that way all the time.
same.
So, that's like a personal view. But when I did all my food allergy tests, what came up is like, actually, your perfect diet is paleo. And so the person helping me through that said, a vegan diet for you, actually, because of like blood type, body type, all that kind of thing, wouldn't really be a fit with the way that you live. And with what's going on inside. And funnily enough, one of the things that I was most allergic to in the world was yogurt.
Wow.
And not that I don't still have the odd frozen yogurt sometimes. Oops.
You've
But
survived.
yeah, But you wouldn't think, because lots of people might be selling you yogurt as if like, this is great probiotic qualities, or it's really healthy, or it's a healthy alternative to, say, ice cream and stuff. And for me personally, it's maybe just as bad. And I think there's a lot to be said for like getting that individual advice. Maybe not everyone's going to want to invest in a food allergy test, but I really feel, as you're saying, rather than projecting, this diet really worked for me or this regime really worked for me. That's wonderful. I think that's amazing. And everybody's an individual for which individual things are going to work for, right?
And even the individual changes over time. Things that bother us one day may not a year later or 2 years, or we may develop allergies, or they may come and go. So absolutely, it's individual, extremely individual. And functional medicine doctors are great, aren't they? Functional, because they incorporate the full spectrum of healing. So at the very least, if you can see a functional medicine doctor, or even a regular doctor that incorporates that thinking. My GP is a GP in a small place, but she could be a functional medicine doctor for her approach and her expertise. So I'm quite lucky. Yeah.
I know time has like just flown, in this lovely conversation, but I was wondering if you'd like to share any final thoughts with our viewers out there.
Yes. Our industry is wonderful, and it's opened up viewpoints, it's opened up possibilities, it's raised upper limiting beliefs and glass ceilings, and it also has a lot of the walking wounded.
Yeah, quite right.
Not just people coming as clients, but practitioners. The more time goes by, the more the focus of my work turns to trauma. And what I've come to realize is that there are a few things that seem to go together. Trauma, addiction, codependency, or even tendencies towards codependency. And codependency is an addiction. So, and I'm not talking about addiction to substances, I'm talking about addiction to behaviors, because I think in our industry, we're more likely to have that.
Yeah.
And like codependency, we need to somehow release the trauma that we all carry, because it's affecting us. I ask everybody to just review that in their lives and see what do you need? Do you need some help? Is there something? And it may not be the right time to do it, but at least you have it on your list. Is there something that needs healing?
Yeah.
And if so, take care of it.
And I guess actually do it, because how long do you want to be carrying that around?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the body keeps score. Yeah. And I have a gift for your listeners.
I was just going to say, do you, how can they reach out to you? And please tell us.
Thank you. So I am launching, I'm in the middle of a launch of a new psychic service. It's called Anasa Psychics. And Anasa is the Greek word for breath.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, Anasa. It sounds so similar to Asana as well, which is nice too. Yeah. But Anasa, it's just, I think of it because I speak Greek, and I'm Greek as well. My heritage is very Greek.
Greek, Irish, American.
Yeah, what did a friend of mine who used to call me Greeky Yankee Patty Pixie because I'm short. Or rather, he was just very tall. And Gypsy is what he used to call me, Greeky Yankee Patty Pixie. So what I want people to feel when they come to this, because I've been in the psychic industry as well as the therapy industry for decades now, literally decades. I want people to feel that exhale of relief of, I finally got that question answered. That exhale, relief. And also the breath in of, there's some hope here. There is some hope. There's a way through this. And that's what I want everybody to leave their readings with. So I have started to put together a group of psychics who are also so talented in other things like counseling, like therapy, like Reiki, business have all these other talents and skills. And together we're doing this. We're doing a Richard Branson, in that we're taking an industry that may not have the greatest reputation and lifting it up to a higher standard.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. So for the first person that puts in the comments, what does ANASA mean? We'll make it a little bit of a competition. When we launch, I think next week, they will get a free 30-minute reading with one of our top psychics. Yeah.
Ooh.
So the first person, what does ANASA mean in Greek is the question.
Nice. And
Yes.
Christina actually gave us the answer, so you can rewatch the interview and rewind and find that out. So give us the answer and we'll get there. And how do we actually get in touch with you?
Since we're doing this on Facebook, get in touch with me on Facebook to start with, and I'll set you up. We have some special offers as well coming up on the launch.
Lovely.
Just to help people, introduce people to what we offer. And the website is going to be anasapsychics.co.uk.
anasapsychics.co.uk. Lovely. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to share a really fun story, actually, maybe just to wrap this up. On, sometimes Christina and I have shared intuition on stuff, and I think this was about 6 years ago. I can't remember exactly, but you said, "Oh, there's a romantic moment with someone called Brendan or Brandon." I don't remember exactly. Was it? It was one of those names. Anyway, it was I thought, I don't know anyone called that, and maybe he's American or whatever it was. Do you remember this?
I do.
And there's no prospect of this happening, or I didn't know anyone and I wasn't considering anyone with that name. I might be getting the name wrong, but I think it was that name. Anyway.
It's something Americanish anyways.
It was Americanish, definitely. And what happened in real life was I went to see Whose Line Is It Anyway, the live show. And when they do that, well, this story, but when they do the thing about they're going to create a song about someone in the audience. So I was the lady that got picked up in the audience, and the American improviser called, I'm going to call him Brandon, whatever it is. I should have looked up his name before. I can't remember.
Let's just go with Brandon.
His name was Brandon, and he ended up serenading me with this rock stadium love song to an audience at the Dominion Theatre in London.
That was a romantic thing indeed.
Definitely probably he didn't have the emotion behind it.
It was a romantic moment, I believe. That's a great story, Shay. Thank you for just reminding me of that too. That was hilarious.
So it's amazing how intuition works. And the first thing I did was I went back to Christina. I was like, you said you saw this romantic moment with someone called Brandon. Well, this is what actually happened. And was he the love of my life? No. Definitely isn't. In fact,
I don't know if that came up though in the read.
No, it didn't come up. It was just a moment that you saw, right? But it was certainly kind of a big gesture that was pretending to be romantic, even if it wasn't really.
What does Abraham Hicks say? Act as if. But and what I love about that story, as well as the intuition part, is that you mentally were so open that you went and did something so different. Physically showed up there. You had the energy. Like I said earlier, you're one of the most alive people I know. And you opened yourself up to it. So
when I used to watch it when I was young, I was always like, I'd love to be the person that they make a song up about. And it was just when Clive Anderson said, "Will someone take the stage?" I was like, "Yeah, me." That would be me. Even if I wasn't sure that he picked me, I walked up to the stage.
That'll do it. That'll do it. Oh gosh, we have so many stories we could share, Shay. So many entertaining stories.
Indeed.
Another time.
In the meantime,
Yeah.
go check out anayapsychics.co.uk. Do connect with Christina. She's beautiful and she'll take good care of you. And for now, sending lots of love your way.
Thank you. And to you as well, Shay. It's lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you too. Take care.
And love to everybody listening. Take care. Bye.